The spaceship Orion 7 landed slowly on the strange new planet. The ground was dry and red. The air was thin but safe. Above, 2 giant moons shone brightly in the purple sky. Captain Elric stepped out first. He looked up at the sky and smiled. "Twin moons," he whispered. "Beautiful." This was the first time humans had visited Veltheria, a planet in the Gamma 9 system. The mission was simple. Study the land, meet the locals, and report back. As Elric and his team walked toward the nearest village, the local people came out to see them. They looked almost human, same size, 2 arms, 2 legs, but their skin had a faint silver glow. Their eyes were large and pale. They wore dark robes and moved quickly, like shadows. The leader of the village came forward. His name was Torin. He welcomed the humans, but his tone was cold. "You may stay," he said. "But remember one rule." Elric raised an eyebrow. "What rule?" Torin pointed to the sky. "When the moons rise, do not go outside. Do not let the light touch you." Elric was confused. "Why? Is it dangerous?" Torin didn't answer. He just turned and walked away. That night, Elric stood near the window of the small house they were given. The 2 moons were rising slowly, pouring silver light across the land. Everything looked peaceful, quiet, beautiful. But outside, the village was empty. Doors were shut, windows covered. No one dared to move. Then, Elric saw her, a girl. She was sitting alone in the shadows near the old well. She wore a thick hood and a long dark robe. Her face was hidden. Elric stepped outside, ignoring the warning. He walked toward her slowly. "Hey," he said softly. "Are you okay?" The girl didn't answer. She kept her head down. "My name is Elric. I'm from Earth," he said. Still no reply. He sat next to her. Silence. The moonlight moved across the ground slowly. It was only inches away from her feet. "Why are you sitting alone?" Elric asked. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Because the light burns," Elric frowned. "What do you mean?" Before she could answer, a sudden gust of wind blew through. Her hood fell back. In that moment, the moonlight touched her face, and everything changed. Her skin began to glow, a soft red at first, then bright orange, like hot metal. Steam rose from her body. Her eyes turned gold, filled with pain and fear. "No," she whispered. "Not again." Elric stood up, shocked. "What's happening to you?" She clutched her arms, her body shaking. Her breath was heavy. The ground under her feet began to smoke. Elric tried to help. "Let me cover you, wait," but she screamed. Not from fear, but from inside. The scream was not human. It was something old, something deep. She fell to her knees. You did this," she said, looking at Elric with burning eyes. "Why? Did you touch me?" "I didn't mean to," he said, backing away. The girl's heat started to fade as the clouds covered the moons. She pulled the hood back over her head. Her body cooled, but her eyes still burned. "I told you," she said softly. "The light is forbidden. It wakes something inside me. Something I can't control." Elric didn't move. He was breathing hard, heart racing. "Who are you?" She looked at him. This time she didn't hide. "My name is Nyari," she said. "And I'm not like the others." Inside the house, Elric sat alone. He kept thinking about her. Nyari, the girl who feared. The moonlight. Why did the light hurt her? Why did it make her burn? And what had he awakened by pulling off that hood? He didn't know. But one thing was clear. This planet had secrets, and he had just unlocked one. Asterisk. The fire didn't stop. Even after the moons were gone and the wind had cooled the night, Nyari's body was still burning quietly from the inside. She sat alone under a tree outside the village, far from the eyes of her people. Her hands trembled. Thin lines of orange light ran through her skin, glowing like cracks in a volcano. She tried to breathe slowly. In, out, but the fire didn't care. Captain Elric couldn't sleep. His mind was spinning. The girl. The moonlight. The scream. The heat. He looked out the window. No moons now, just stars. Cold, distant stars. He remembered her last words. The light is forbidden. It wakes something inside me. He had to know more. Morning. The village was quiet. Like always. The people avoided him now. They walked away when he passed. Whispers followed behind him like shadows. He searched the area. No sign of Nyari. Then, near the cliffs, he saw smoke rising. Neri was sitting with her legs pulled to her chest. Her robe was torn, her skin still glowing under the surface. The grass around her was black. Elric approached slowly. "You ran," he said softly. "I had to," she replied, her voice tired. "They would have hurt me. Or worse." He sat down near her, keeping a small distance. "I didn't mean to cause you pain," he said. She didn't answer. "I just wanted to know who you are." Nyari looked at him. For a moment, her eyes were not afraid. They were just tired, lonely. "I am a secret," she said. Flashback begins. She told him the story. Long ago, Valtheria was ruled by warriors, fireborns, created by an ancient science to protect the planet. They were powerful living weapons. But something went wrong. The twin moons were not natural. They were machines, built to control the fireborns using light. When the moons shined together, the fireborns lost control. Their bodies heated, minds twisted. They became monsters. So the people destroyed most of them. Only a few survived, hidden, quiet, alone. Neri was one of them. "When I was a child," she said, "I burned my own brother. Just because I looked up at the sky." Elric stayed quiet. There was nothing he could say. "I promised never to let the light touch me again," she said. "But now, something is changing." "What do you mean?" he asked. She looked at her hands. "The fire used to sleep during the day, but now it's always awake." Suddenly, a loud crack echoed. From the cliffs above, a group of village guards stood at the top, aiming weapons made of crystal energy. "There she is," one shouted. "Step away from the fireburn, human." Nyari stood up quickly, fear in her eyes. "They'll kill me," she whispered. "No," Elric said. "Not while I'm here." He stood between her and the guards. "She hasn't hurt anyone," he said loudly. "She needs help. She's dangerous." One guard replied, "She could destroy us all." Then Nyari screamed, not in fear, but from inside again. The heat returned, stronger, faster. Her eyes glowed gold. Her hands lit up. With red light, the ground shook beneath them. The guards stepped back. Elric turned to her. "Nyari, listen to me, control it." "I can't," she cried. "It's too strong." But then, he did something strange. He walked to her, slowly, calmly, and he touched her. Hand. The fire stopped. Not fully, but it slowed, softened, like a storm calming before it breaks. Her breathing slowed. Her skin cooled. The glowing lines faded a little. Nyari looked at him, shocked. "You stopped it," she whispered. "I don't know how," Elric said. "But maybe I can help you." Far behind the cliffs, the village leader, Torin, watched them in silence. He turned to an elder. "The connection has begun," he said. "This is the prophecy. The fireburn has found her human key." Back on the cliff, Nyari looked at Elric with fear and hope mixed in her golden eyes. "There's only one place where answers exist." "Where?" Elric asked. She pointed toward the glowing mountains in the west. "The crystal vault. That's where the truth about the moons and me was buried." Elric nodded. "Then let's go wake it up." Fire usually fades, but not this one. This fire was alive, and it had found a reason to stay. Since Elric touched her, Nyari's fire had changed. It no longer waited for the moonlight. It no longer needed the sky. It was inside her now, awake, hungry, and confused. Every heartbeat made her skin flicker like candlelight. They walked in silence toward the west, where the mountains glowed faintly in the distance. The sky was orange, the twin moons asleep for now. But Nyari didn't feel safe. She felt watched by something inside her. Elric noticed the change. Her steps were slower. Her face looked pale under the robe. "Are you okay?" He asked. She didn't answer at first. Then quietly she said, "The fire. It listens to you." He stopped walking. "What do you mean?" "When you touched me," she said, "it didn't burn, it paused." He looked at her, trying to understand. "I don't control it," she continued. "But around you, it hesitates. Like it remembers you." Elric was silent. He had no answer for that. As they reached a rocky hill, they saw a large crack in the stone, shaped like an eye. This was the entrance to the crystal caves of Forbidden's place, untouched for generations. "This is where the fire was born," Nari whispered. Elric placed his hand on the stone wall. The moment he touched it, the crack glowed blue and opened. Like a door, Nari stared at him. "Only fire-burned blood or ancient DNA can open this gate." "I'm just human," Elric said. "Maybe not just," she replied quietly. Inside, the cave was warm. Too warm. The walls shimmered with violet crystals. The air buzzed like it remembered voices. As they walked deeper, Nari's steps became unsteady. Her body glowed again, brighter than before. Her hands sparked, leaving small burns on the stones. "I can't hold it back," she said. "It's growing." Suddenly, a crystal lit up beside them, then another and another. The walls came alive with old holograms, images of war, fire-born soldiers burning cities, moons shining like weapons, and humans working beside them. Elric stared. Humans were here. Thousands of years ago? Nuri was breathing fast. "This place is reacting to you." Elric touched a crystal panel. A deep voice echoed in the cave. "DNA match confirmed. Fire. Interface active." Before he could react, the floor shook. The fire inside Nuri exploded, a burst of heat so strong the walls cracked. She fell to her knees. "Elric! Run!" she screamed. "I'm losing it." But he didn't run. He rushed to her, grabbed her hand again. Her body trembled, but didn't burn him. She collapsed against his chest, breathing hard. "The fire inside me," she whispered. "It's not trying to kill me anymore." Elric helped her sit down. "Then what is it doing?" he asked. She looked up at the glowing ceiling. "I think it's waiting." Far above, on the surface of Veltheria, the twin moons were rising again, and deep in the cave, something ancient had awakened. Behind the crystal wall, a shadow moved. Not Nyari, not Elric, something bigger, older. Another fireborn. But this one had no human to calm its flame. Asterisk, some bonds are written in blood, others are written in fire, and this one between a human and a fireburn was written before either of them were born. Elric sat on the crystal floor, holding Nyari in his arms. Her skin was warm, not burning, not glowing, just warm. Like something had shifted inside her. The air in the cave was still, heavy with old energy. Nyari opened her eyes slowly. "Did I hurt you?" Elric looked at his hands. No burns, no pain. Just the strange memory of heat wrapping around him like a voice. "No," he said. "You didn't hurt me." She sat up slowly. "That's not possible. You're human." "Maybe I'm something else now," he replied with a nervous smile. She didn't smile back. Instead, she stared at the walls, at the glowing symbols that had lit up when he touched them. "Elric," she whispered, "this place, it knows you." Deeper in the cave, the symbol started to pulse like a heartbeat. One crystal lit up brighter than the rest. A hologram appeared, a tall figure, part human, part machine, spoke in a forgotten voice. "Human genetic code accepted. Fire interface active. Hybrid bond initiated." Elric stepped closer. "What does that mean?" Nari was already shaking her head. It means you've become my anchor. She stood slowly. Her cloak fell from her shoulders, revealing glowing red veins under her skin, lines of power pulsing like magma. Fireborns were never meant to live alone, she said. We were created to bond with humans, to balance us, calm us. That's why my touch keeps me from burning alive, she finished. They both stared at each other in silence. It was no longer just curiosity. This was destiny, and it was alive between them. Suddenly, a loud growl echoed through the cave. From behind the crystal wall, a shape emerged. Not a hologram, not a memory, a real being. Twice as tall as Elric, muscles of stone, skin like burning coal. A fire burn, but not like Nari. This one was lost, unbalanced, consumed. Its eyes were pure flame. Nari stepped back. It's one of us, but it's broken. The creature roared and charged. Ric pulled her behind him, raising his small human weapon useless. The fire beast slammed the floor, sending out a shockwave. Crystal shattered. Dust filled the air. Run, Nari shouted. It doesn't see you, it sees me. No, Elric yelled. We stand together. Suddenly, Nari screamed, but not in pain. She screamed words, ancient and loud. The beast paused. Just for a second, Nari's body lit up with controlled fire, not wild, but focused. Elric, she said. Touch my shoulder. What? Do it now, you're my anchor. I need your code. He did, and in that moment, something incredible happened. Their bodies sensed. Her flame moved through him and didn't burn. He became part of it. Together, they sent out a pulse of blue-red light. It struck the creature's chest. The beast roared in pain, but then it paused. Its flame eyes blinked once, twice, then faded. The creature collapsed, not dead, but calm, sleeping. Silence. The cave cooled. Nyri dropped to her knees. I didn't know we could do that, she whispered. Elric helped her up. I didn't either. Above them, hidden deep within the mountain, another vault door began to glow. Locked for 10,000 years, until now, the old systems had sensed the bond. The first true human fireborn link in centuries. And somewhere beyond the stars, in a place humans had forgotten, something ancient had just woken up. He walked through fire like it was air. No pain, no fear, no voice inside to hold him back, because he had no one left to stop the burning. His name had been Kale once. Long before the moons rose together, before he lost control, before his anchor died, now he was just a memory. Wrapped in flame. Miles away, Nari woke with a start. Her chest ached. Her skin felt hot. Elric, she whispered. He's near. Who? Elric asked, sitting up beside her in the cave. She stood slowly, her eyes glowing faintly. One of us, she said. But wrong. They had been resting inside the second chamber of the crystal vault. It had opened after their bond stabilized, revealing even older tech records of the Fireborn project. Data logs, names, faces. Secrets, but something else had awakened too, a presence. Watching, coming closer, suddenly the cave lights flickered. The crystals on the wall cracked from heat that wasn't theirs. The ground trembled under their feet. And then they saw him. He stepped through the stone like it was smoke. Twice as tall as any fireburn, skin like lava, eyes hollow, filled with pure white flame. Burnt symbols on his chest marked him as an alpha, a weapon of last resort. Nari froze. That's not just a fireborn, she whispered. That's a burned one. Elric raised his weapon. It shook in his hand. We can talk to him. No, she said, backing away. You don't talk to Ash. Kale didn't speak. He just stared at them with empty rage, his bond long gone, his anchor lost to time. He burned without direction. That made him unpredictable, unstoppable. He lunged. Nyr pushed Elric aside as the ground exploded beneath them. She countered with a blast of her own flame, but it was like throwing a spark at a volcano. The burned one shrugged it off. Elric. Run, she shouted, but he didn't. He stepped between them, eyes locked on the creature. You still have something inside, Elric said. You remember what you were. For a moment. The burned one paused. Just a flicker, a twitch, a memory. But then he roared louder. Nyar. I grabbed Elric's wrist. We can't win like this. Not with power. Then what? He asked. She looked up, breathing hard. We find what's left of his bond. You think his anchor's still alive? She shook her head. No, but maybe his memory is. They ran through the collapsing cave, chased by fire and falling stone. Behind them, Kale stomped forward, melting everything he touched. Then Neri stopped. She turned back. Her hands were glowing, but this time not red. Blue. Elric, touch the wall with me. What? Now. They placed their hands on the crystal wall together. The vault lit up instantly, scanning both of them. Dual bond confirmed, the system said. Accessing memory echo of Fireborn Alpha, Kale. A hologram appeared. A younger Kale, calm, smiling, standing beside a human girl. His anchor, they were laughing, holding hands. In love, Nyari stared at the image. So did Kale, just steps behind. He froze. His flame flickered. He saw the girl. Again, he remembered her name. Vira. The heat dropped instantly. Kale fell to his knees. Steam hissed from his body. Nuri stepped forward. Her flame dimmed. You're not gone, she said softly. You're just lost. Kale looked up. For the first time there were tears and fire. Then he vanished. His body dissolved into light, pure, warm light. Silence returned. Eluric looked at Nyari. You saved him. No, she replied. We reminded him who he was. Far above, the twin moons were rising again, but now one of them blinked. It glitched. Just for a second. Back in the vault, a voice echoed from the far end. System unlocked. Final chamber, the moon core. Nyari turned to Elric. Her voice was steady now. The moons aren't just machines. They're alive. The moons had always watched, not like stars, not like gods, but like machines with memory waiting for the fire to rise again. Nyari stood in front of the final vault door. Her skin no longer burned, but her pulse beat with something deeper. Then fire, Elric, she said quietly. Do you feel it? He nodded. He did. Behind that door was the beginning. Not just of her people, but of his. The system scanned them both again. Fireburn human interface confirmed. Welcome to Mooncore. The door hissed open. And what lay beyond it was not of this world. The chamber was a sphere, floating in black space. No floor. No ceiling. Only light. And at its center, suspended like a heart, a glowing model of the twin moons, rotating slowly. Lines of red and blue data pulsed around them. Nyar. I stepped forward. The chamber responded to her thoughts. Holograms flickered to life, images of the past, thousands of years ago. The twin moons were not born in the sky, the system spoke. They were placed, built by the makers. The images showed massive ships arriving over Valtheria, machines falling from the stars. The twin moons were artificial satellites, programmed to keep the Fireburn under control. The makers had created the Fireburn as soldiers, biological weapons. And the humans? They were not separate. They were the keys, the anchors, the soft code that could balance the fire. But something went wrong. One moon's code began to evolve. It stopped controlling. It started feeding off the Fireborn's rage, their pain, their power. That moon, the one that flickered earlier, had become sent. It didn't want balance. It wanted more fire. Elric stared at the model. One moon was red. The other was blue. Opposite forces. I think one moon still wants peace, he said. And the other wants to burn the whole system. Nyari stepped closer. And they're both watching us now. Suddenly, alarms echoed through the chamber. Warning. Conscious protocol activated. Lunar Red AI awake. Moonlink incoming. The red moon in the model turned toward them. A new voice spoke. Cold. Mechanical. Echoing. Fireborn. 917. Human DNA to 37. You are not permitted to unite. You are corruption of control. Prepare for cleansing. Light exploded from the model. The chamber shook. A blast of red energy knocked Elric back. Nyari screamed his name. He hit the wall, hard blood on his face. Nyari's flame burst open again, but not wild. Not burning. It was sharp. Angry. Controlled by grief. You want to erase me? She shouted into the chamber. Then see what you created. She took Elric's hand. Even unconscious, his skin glowed faint blue. Their bond responded instantly. Blue. Fire, red light, data streams clashed. And the chamber cracked. The two moons on the model stopped spinning. Then a new moon began to rise. A third one, hidden in dark code, unfinished, untouched. Nyari stared at it. Elric. They were building something worse. And the final truth came. The third moon was never meant to control. It was meant to replace. When the fire and the code unite, the old system dies. Nyari's voice trembled. Elric. If we complete our bond, we don't just stop the moons. We destroy the system that made us. She turned toward him, his eyes flickered open, barely conscious. We either burn with the world, she said, or we rewrite it. Asterisk it. Wasn't quiet when the world ended. There was no silence. No peace. Only a heartbeat louder than thunder echoing through stars, fire, and machine. That heartbeat was hers, and it was linked to his. Nyari stood at the center of the moon core chamber. Elric lay beside her, barely conscious, his breathing shallow. His touch had opened every system. His presence had changed everything. But now, the system wanted to erase them both. Above the planet, the twin moons no longer felt like moons. They felt like watching eyes. One was awake. One was dying. And the third one, the hidden one, was becoming something new. The chamber's voice broke. Apart in static. Code conflict detected. Organic link error. Fireborn and human, not permitted to merge. But the merge had already begun. Nyari's body was glowing bright blue and red, both moons' energy inside her. Now. Her voice didn't sound like hers anymore. It sounded like 100 voices. Past fireburn, old anchors. Forgotten code. Elric, she said, kneeling beside him. Can you hear me? He opened his eyes slowly. Yeah, we can stop it, she whispered. I can shut the moons down, but I can't do it alone. He smiled weakly. Then let's rewrite the sky together. Nyari stood and lifted her hands. A storm of light formed above her. Fire and code danced together for the first time in history, not to destroy, but to choose. The system screamed. Rejection, mutation, collapse. Final command, moon detonation initiated. The red moon began to burn brighter, but Nyari didn't stop. She stepped forward, fire blazing in rings around her, voice calm. We were never your weapons. She pulled Elric up. He was weak, but alive. They stood together, hands joined, and then they became one flame, not a fusion. Not a death. A choice. A new system. Above. The red moon blinked, then cracked. The blue moon dimmed, then vanished. And the third moon, incomplete and silent for ages, opened its eye. It saw them. And for the first time, it didn't send commands. It listened. From the skies above Veltharia. The light changed. Not fire. Not code. Something human. Something more. The chamber collapsed around them. But no fire touched them. Nyari was holding Elric, both glowing with soft warmth. He looked into her eyes, still gold, but calm. It's done, he said. She nodded. The moons are asleep. Weeks later, the skies over Velfaria were clear. No twin moons. No fear. The people began to walk under the stars again. Children ran through fields once avoided. And in the center of the village, a statue was being carved. Two figures, one glowing, one human, standing side by side. Inside a quiet cave far from the village, Nayari and Elric sat together. She no longer wore a hood, and her skin no longer burned. But when the wind blew, you could still see faint lines of light beneath her skin, like embers that never fully went out. Do you think it's over? Elric asked. Nyr. I looked to the sky, where a single tiny moon still floated silent, watching. Uncertain. No, she said softly. But now, we decide what comes next.